On behalf of the municipality of Port Hope, I thank each of you for being here. And I want to take a moment to thank somebody very special tonight, without whom this event would not have been possible, Kate Schuker from the municipality. You can have a great idea, you can bring together folks, but the implementation and execution is really her work, so thank you. I also want to thank each and every one of you for being here this evening.
Reflect and raise awareness of the impacts of residential schools and to stand in support of truth and reconciliation. I want to speak just briefly on the importance of truth and reconciliation and the history that we've come through as Indigenous people, that our ancestors had to endure, that over 150,000 Indigenous children had to endure for over 100 years of residential schools in this country. That history included government policies of genocide in the guise of a desired goal of assimilation. Policies that allowed them to take the children, to kill the Indian and the child as it became known as, and they literally did. Policies that targeted our language, our ceremonies, and our culture. A direct attack on Indigenous identity. There's a long list of historical traumas, tragedy, and truth that have rippled out through the generations. That's why this day is so very important, to pause and to give voice to that, to reflect, to reconcile that, to continue answering calls to action, to keep moving into the doing stage of things. Reconciliation is about not being afraid to take part, to walk alongside us, making waves of change. What a gift that can be. There's a good saying that speaks to the importance of knowing where you come from, but also in knowing what matters most is where you go from here. And the message I want to emphasize to all of you is that we as First Nation people, we are still here, still strong and beautiful and proud. I stand here giving acknowledgement and deepest of gratitude and pride, so much pride for who we are as a people and the history, our history, that we come from. Of a people whose teachings are based on the values of caring, sharing, and kindness. Teachings of wisdom, love, respect, bravery, honesty, humility, and truth that guide our journey. That we are taught to think 7 generations ahead in all that we do. Our teaching of all my relations is a lovely example of that way of thinking. All my relations reminds us that it's not just us as human beings here on this planet. It reminds us of the beauty of our mother, the earth, and that the plant life was here first. The trees, the rocks, the waters, and then those 4-legged ones, and those that fly in the sky world, and those that crawl, and then the fish life, and all that relies on the waters were here before us. Then us as human beings were here. This teaching models so much for us in the way that we think of the earth, and the water, and the environment, and one another as our relatives. Because when we deepen our love and our care for those things, in the same way that we love and care for our family or for life itself, it forms a kinship with the land and the water in a much different way. It creates a deep respect and a responsibility, which forms bigger acts of reciprocity between us all. A giving back and forth to one another. Just like the proceeds raised from this gathering this evening are going to support the Rice Lake Legal Personhood Initiative. Legal personhood for Rice Lake. What better act of reciprocity and reconciliation. What incredible example of our own teachings of showing the kinship we have with the land and the water, with the environment around us. Akinamagin, Akinamagad, Akinamagavin are words in our language for teacher and teaching. The first 3 letters of those words are A-K-I, Akik, which in our language, Akik is the word for the land. So right there within our words for teaching is that word land. So again, giving you a glimpse into our ancestors' worldview, they saw the land as teacher. It makes so much sense. We just need everyone on this planet to feel the same way. Mother Earth is life-giving. We couldn't be here without her. The next time you hear those 3 words, all my relations, please let yourself really feel the depth and the importance of that beautiful way of thinking. This little bit that I've been able to share with you is spoken from my heart, to begin this evening in a good way, to offer these words really as that prayer of gratitude, that prayer that sends out blessings to all of those that have gone on before us. You know, and thinking about that time of reconciliation and thinking about those that never came home from those schools, you know, and all of those things. So my words come from my heart as that good prayer. It's my hope that my words reflect back to you the beauty of our way of thinking and seeing the world around us. The ways in which our ancestors saw the world, the way they were in relationship with the land and with one another, and the care and that good way of being has been passed down to us, and the ways in which we go forward in all that we do. As I close my opening message to you, I want to offer good words about the person we've all come here to see. One of the many gifts in this life is when we get to be of service to others, and that is most definitely Tom Jackson. Actor, singer, humanitarian, so many of us became fans of Tom going back to the 1990s when he starred as Peter Kennedy on North of 60, a television series that we all love so much, and is still on in reruns, by the way, if you have the APTN channel, Mondays through Fridays. I have that on my PVR. Tom Jackson is a singer with songs like No Regrets, I'm Not Saying, I'm Just Saying, Blue Water, and a song called Lost Souls that speaks to the silenced children of residential schools. The song of the Huron Carol became a song that Tom sang and turned into a Canadian touring musical production that raised funds for food banks all across the country. Along with the Huron Carol, Singing for Supper, and the Holiday Train. The Holiday Train was a Canadian Pacific Railway fundraising initiative. Tom and that Holiday Train stopped right here in Port Hope many moons back when he and others performed with the train as their stage, and then out into the crowd he came saying hello and shaking hands with us all. Tom is an ambassador for the Canadian Red Cross, and the list goes on and on to the humanitarian work he has been involved in. He is known as someone who has always made himself available for anyone in need, being that humble, kind, and beautiful man, the one who helps lift others up. What an absolute gift it is for us to be in his presence. May this incredible show of support, this sold-out theater here this evening, may this support ripple out into our day-to-day living. Allies, neighbors, family and friends, walking side by side. In the words of the late Murray Sinclair, who was the Chief Commissioner of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, in his words, "We have described for you a mountain. We have shown you the path to the top. We call upon you to do the climbing." How? Chimigwech, everyone. Much love, blessings, and gratitude to all.
What does the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation mean? What is reconciliation? I think that's the gist of what we're doing. We're 10 years in now to this, and people are still saying, what can we do? What needs to be done? For us, reconciliation means more than just amends for the wrongs that were done. We want to see a world that we had before, especially where our Rice Lake is concerned. Rice Lake used to provide everything we need. It was our food sovereignty. It would have our fish, it would have our duck, our goose, our muskrat, our beaver, and of course our most precious food item, which was manoomin, which is our rice that grew on the lake. And there was a time when there was 8 miles of rice beds. That was more than enough food to feed everyone for the year. And people would come from all over. Our neighbors, the First Nations, would come and they would harvest as well too. So we live in a world now where we can't really draw too much food, not as much from the lake. So reconciliation in this sense means how can we all work together to achieve that goal of making life better for all of us. So we will be celebrating I guess, honoring the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation until we finally get to a place in Canada where we feel that, the treaties have been honored, where we are respected in terms of our sovereign nationality. So we still have a long way to go, and I probably won't be seeing it in my lifetime. Maybe my kids won't see it in their lifetime, but there's a chance that maybe the grandkids will see it in their time. But you can never stop the fight. There's never going to be a time where we say, okay, that's it, we're done with that, until we get to that promised time that, it's still so far away. We're going to keep fighting for these reconciliation activities. So I talked a little bit about the importance of Bryce Lake. This is something that, growing up off reserve, I always knew Bryce Lake was Alderville. It was one of those things where whenever we came back, I would be on the lake, we'd be fishing. All the pictures that I had of my family, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, they were all on the lake. They were harvesting rice, they were fishing, they were in the boat. So it's something that I knew was such an integral part of our lives. And I'd always wanted to do something to reinvigorate it. And it was through discussions with your mayor, Mayor Elena, that she suggested the idea of legal personhood. And it's something that I didn't know too much about, but it kind of sparked the idea that maybe this is the key, this is the way to protecting our lake. And in our beliefs, in First Nations belief, nature has a soul, nature is alive. We're not separate from nature, we're a part of nature. So this spoke well to me, because we have corporations that have legal personhood, and these corporations are doing lots of damage. So how do they get to be a legal person when the world we live upon does not have that same status? So the ultimate goal would be to have all water body protected in a legal personhood framework. And this would be the ultimate goal, but we have to start somewhere, and we are hoping that we can do this with Bryce Lake. There's only been one other example of legal personhood being attained in Canada, and that's the Magpie River in Quebec. Now, the folks who helped achieve that status there are the same ones that are helping us with our initiative, and that's the International Observatory for Nature's Rights. And just on Friday, we had a water walk where we brought water from Bryce Lake to our community center. I'd like to thank everyone who attended that. And the next day, on Saturday, we had our guests from the observatory have a panel discussion to explain what we were trying to accomplish to our community, and we had opened the door for everybody. So this was really an open discussion table for everyone to ask their questions to find out what legal personhood is about. And at the end of the day, the water was returned to the lake, carrying all of that energy, all of that knowledge, everything that was shared that day. So that was instilled back into the lake. So we hope that this is the beginning of a brighter future for our lake, and not just our lake, but all natural bodies of water and nature that we depend on for our life. I was recently in the United Nations General Assembly. I delivered an intervention on behalf of our Bryce Lake Legal Personhood Initiative. So this is something that, it's happening across the world, and we are just one country, but people with like minds are fighting for this status in their way all over the world. So this is a growing national, international movement, and I'm just so happy that here today we are helping this initiative here in Canada, and more specifically for Alderville First Nation. I just want to say a big chief miigwech to Tom Jackson for hosting this event, because this is something that we can't do alone. It's something that we need allies, we need friends, we need supporters. And what Tom has done is just incredible. It's still hard to believe that this is something that he's taking on, but I just want to say a big chief miigwech to Tom Jackson, and I can't wait to hear his wonderful performance. But at this time, I am going to welcome Glenn Marsden to the drums. So we are in for a bit of a treat here. We're going to start with a couple of drum songs from our group, the Sugar Maple Singers, and we're going to have two different types of dance styles shown here today. So this is going to give you a sense of what our dancers do on the powwow trail, something that we work very hard for every single year. But with that, I am going to call Peach as well as the Sugar Maple Singers up here.
Cause, Makwandola, Alderville, Dunjaban. Good evening, my name is Marcia Smoke, and I'm the Southeast Regional Chief for the Anishinaabe Nation, and a proud member of Olduville First Nation. I'm very proud member to stand here in front of you and see a full house, and the support from the Port Hope community has been tremendous over the last few years for First Nations. So thank you for being here this evening. I want to begin by acknowledging Elder Melody, who carries our prayers, the drum that carries our heartbeat, and the medicines that guide and protect us, and to all our dancers that came out and with their presence this evening. I also want to honor our veterans, whose service and sacrifice remind us of the strength within our own nations. And I'm very proud of the fact that my dad, Don Smoke, has joined us this evening. He's a World War II veteran. He's going to be 100 years old in February. And he never ceases to amaze me by showing up and supporting all of the work that we all do. And I'm just very grateful that he's here, and family members are here, and members of the community. And I want to thank our hosts, Mayor Hankivsky and to Chief Simpson for welcoming us here in Port Hope today. As with all of our messages on this day, the crisis support line that if you want to reach out to them for some of the messages that may be provided, it's important to note that number is 1-866-925-4419. I offer a special thank you to Mr. Tom Jackson, whose vision brought us all here together. We gather for Convivium, a celebration of truth and a celebration of reconciliation. My words are offered in the spirit of remembering the children, those who were taken to residential schools, those who never came home, the survivors who live with the stories of what they experienced and witnessed every day, and the intergenerational trauma that has affected our children, our grandchildren, and our future generations. This event carries the vision of Tom Jackson, a respected actor, singer, and storyteller. And earlier today, I learned that he's also an esteemed businessman who has spent his life bringing people together in compassion and truth. His creations have touched communities across this land, and tonight that vision lives here in Port Hope. For me and my children, this gathering is deeply personal. My late husband, Stephen Pashagamshkam, was a survivor of 3 Indian residential schools. About 4 years ago, Stephen spoke of holding an event here in Port Hope, a place where people could gather to remember the children and honor the survivors. And we carried on his legacy each year after that, right next door here in Memorial Park. And I so appreciate all the support of local residents who came out and stood with us and sat with us and chatted with us during that time, those times. While the Debajimolan Cultural Center decided to take a break this year in organizing an outdoor event, I believe that residential school survivors and those who are in the spirit world would be proud to see us standing together today and in our own way united in continuing his legacy and the promise kept that every child matters. Stephen once shared a memory of coming home for the summer. There were no airstrips, no roads, so the children would be traveling by float plane. He recalled the mothers and families gathered on the shores of the river, waiting anxiously for their children to step off that plane. As children ran to their parents and families, there was so much warmth and happiness as they greeted each other. That happiness was short-lived. Instead of joy, the air was then filled with cries and sobs because some of the children never came off that plane. That moment haunted Stephen for his entire life, and he only shared that with people 4 years ago when he was speaking to a group in Coburg. But while he carried the weight of those experiences, he also carried hope. After all of our people have been through in residential school, we are now faced with those who deny the trauma, the abuses, the mortality, and the experiences of residential school. Now, as we speak of the children, we are making a vow. We remember the children who were lost. We honor the survivors who endured, and we also acknowledge the children of survivors who experience intergenerational impacts today. Their voices and their healing are part of this story too, and we must walk with them in compassion and understanding. Truth and reconciliation is not a single day. It's a path we must walk together, First Nations and Canadians, with honesty, with respect, and with love. So let us remember the children. Join us as we honor Stephen, his brothers and sisters, and all survivors, and the children who never made it home. Let us stand with the families and future generations who continue to be affected. Let us carry these truths in our hearts and ensure that healing continues so that no child is ever forgotten. Miigwech for the opportunities to speak to you this evening, and miigwech for being an ally. We say miigwech to Mr. Tom Jackson for tonight's program. And if you want to read a few more messages about what it was like in residential school, we put up a display just outside in the lobby. It shows some pictures of what was real and what the children faced in those times of professing to get an education. You'll see that a lot of those children, they were there to do farm work, to break the land, to tend to the cooking, looking after the facilities. You'll read that the language, or that the education they received was not up to par on what others experienced in school. So stop by, take the time to read the messages, and miigwech for the opportunity to be here and share our stories, because Dubadjimon, the Dubadjimon Cultural Center, Dubadjimon in our language means our story. So be well, be safe, and we'll see you again.
Tom is a voice for the vulnerable, a bridge between communities, and a true beacon of hope. And we are so lucky that he is spending time with us now in Port Hope. I'm also very grateful that Tom said yes when I asked him last year if he would lead this event in our community. He made a promise and he kept it, so we're very grateful. So please join me in giving Tom Jackson a heartfelt welcome.
change the world. We've had 3.5 years with this weight on our shoulders. We have to lift that weight. Let's find something new. Let's look below the surface and search for a truth. Because it's a wonderful journey that love will provide. And there's a pain. That's a given. And dark is the night. But love, it'll rumble. It'll make you weak in the knees. And you'll fall and you'll tumble. But love's glory you will see if you never take no. Or what's done is done. Stand up and be counted, because there is a power in one. We can't buy the kingdom where freedom is found, so never lay down, because love is a palace, and you wear the crown. One day at a time. Hold on. Because life is not a free ride. But you will survive if you take it one day at a time. And you've got to believe that if you keep on trying, you'll spread your wings. There'll be no denying. Even in dark days when the world is crying. If we are strong, the sun will start shining. If you never take no, or what's done is done, and you stand up and be counted, because there is a power in one. Love is a palace, and you wear the crown. Let me ask you a question. Would you like to see a better Canada? Okay, some of you would. If you'd like to see a better Canada, say aye. If you'd like to see a better Canada, say love. There you go. I told my brother I was going to be here. And he said, well, if you're going to tell him that you love him, tell him I love him too. He's a pretty smart guy, that Bernie. We were once watching the Alamo. And he says, look how far we've come. It's because Mexicans and Texans fighting all the time, and now we've got Tex-Mex restaurants. I think if we're going to see a better Canada, I think we have to see Canada better.